Yes, the days between Christmas and New Year's, formerly known as the news cycle twilight zone, when we make stuff up, everybody writes a list column, but not the case this year because there's been actual news and real transactions back on the Tuesday Hot Stove, and joined by Anthony DiComo and Kevin McAlpin. Anthony covering the Mets and Kevin, our Braves insider. Guys, thanks for joining us. Happy holidays to you. We're featuring the NL East, where you guys live, for 2021. And I guess I'll start this with you, Anthony. Not a Mets question, but a big picture story. You know, the Washington Nationals, they go out and make the deal for Josh Bell. There's been some add, some subtract. Are they contenders in 2021?
Yeah, look, Matt, I'm not ever going to count out a rotation that begins with Scherzer, Strasburg, Patrick Corbin. Obviously, as you said, Josh Bell makes the Nationals better. They're going to be better than they were in 2020. I think that's clear. But the Braves are who they are. They've won the division 2 straight years now. They are clearly the team to beat in the division. The Mets have already gotten better, and they're looking to continue to get better. So you put all of that into context, and it's hard to put the Nationals right now anywhere better than third place in the NL East. That's not to say they can't still get better, especially if they add, say, a JT Realmuto or add to that rotation, get a better 4 or 5 in there. But as of right now, yes, I think they'll be better. Yes, I think they'll be competitive. Yes, I think they will make some noise. But I don't think they're that team at the top of the division right now, even with Josh Bell.
Fair point. Kevin, I'll ask you the same thing. The Nationals, are they contenders in 2021?
Well, Matt, much like Anthony said, I think any time you have a rotation that has Scherzer, Strasburg, and Corbin, that's a pretty good place to start. But I think if I'm a Nationals fan, it's 4 and 5 where I would probably get a little bit concerned about the depth among starting pitching, as well as the fact that, offensively, look, 2 years ago, they lost Bryce Harper. Last year, they lose Anthony Rendon. They still have Juan Soto, Trey Turner, Robles. They've got some really nice offensive pieces. But I agree with Anthony. I think right now they're probably a third-place team. Now, if they can add one more starter, or if they were able to add a guy like a JT Realmuto, if I'm a National fan, I'd feel a lot better about their opportunity to contend for a division title. But I think right now, when you look at the depth of all these teams in this division, for me, it's still the Braves' division to lose.
Okay, Kevin, then sounds like both of you agree. The Braves favored to win the division as we sit here today. But for Atlanta, it's got to be much bigger than winning the East. Are we looking at a team, we have to say with Atlanta now, it's World Series or bust this year in 2021?
Yeah, Tom, that was their mantra going into spring training last year. I mean, this was a team that went to Northport, and from day one, Freddie Freeman said it. Look, it's World Series or bust for us. And they came 3 innings away from accomplishing that goal of getting to the Fall Classic. They fell a little short to the Dodgers. But yeah, look, when you have a rotation with Max Fried, who was right there in the Cy Young conversation all season long, Mike Soroka is going to be back. You add Charlie Morton and Drew Smyly, and Ian Anderson certainly looked the part when we saw him down the stretch in 2020. For me, the rotation has gotten a lot better. You put that together with the young core of Ronald Acuna Jr., of Ozzie Albies, of Dansby Swanson, of some of the other guys that have really taken big strides forward. And of course, the reigning MVP in the National League with Freddie Freeman as the cornerstone of the organization. Yes, it is World Series or bust. Anything less than that will be, dissatisfactory for this team. They're not just happy with getting to the playoffs. That was okay a couple of years ago, but now it is World Series or bust for the Braves in 2021.
Anthony, as our friend and colleague Mark DeRosa likes to say, let's lock in on the financials.
All right, let me lock in on the financials.
Let's lock in on the financials around the Cohen years in New York. We're all waiting for this huge check-writing spree to start. What kind of an impact is that going to make in the division, and where are the Mets going to make their splash this winter?
Yeah, it's going to make a huge impact in the division because this is a team that, A, can make themselves competitive right now and really push the Braves this offseason into next season. But B, and more importantly, and I think Steve Cohen has been open about this, is that that money can allow the Mets to become a juggernaut in the style of what the Dodgers have done in the NL West, be competitive every year, improve with scouting, development, analytics, all of those things. So you'll see it in free agency this winter, but you'll also see it in other ways going forward. As for that splash, we're all waiting. And I think, to call this offseason a success for the Mets, given where they were last year and where they need to be, you're waiting for that one big piece. And it could be George Springer. It could be Trevor Bauer. It could even be a trade for Nolan Arenado or Francisco Lindor, though I consider that less likely. But the point is, they need one of those big kind of splashy pieces to announce to the world that, okay, this isn't playing anymore. This is a new owner with deep pockets coming in. And the Braves, yeah, we know you're good. The Nationals, yeah, we know you're trying to get better. But this is going to be the Mets division for years to come. I think if the Mets get one big piece here going forward, whether that's Springer, Bauer, or someone else, they can announce kind of to the world that this is going to be the Mets division going forward. Much like the Yankees have owned the AL East, the Dodgers have owned the NL West, however you want to put it. The Mets can be that team in the NL East.
Hey, Kevin, on really a much sadder note regarding the Braves, the loss of Phil Niekro. I mean, I got to know Nuxie when he was actually pitching for the Yankees in the mid-'80s. Not just an incredible pitcher whose numbers, when you look at today, they look like they're fabricated. You can't imagine a guy throwing 349 innings in a season, but he did that and lots of other things. The connection to the Braves, obviously, we'll mostly remember Phil with the Braves. What are the remembrances for you of Phil and what he meant to that organization?
Well, I think one of a kind is a good place to start when you're talking about Nuxie. I mean, just a character and a guy who always made time for the fans. He was a staple at spring training every year. We would see him come down, whether it was in Orlando and spend some time with the players. He was a great guy. And, for all he accomplished, and man, if you ever want to get lost in a baseball reference page, go to Phil Niekro's page. I mean, the numbers are just, like you said, they're almost video game-like numbers. But he had a big impact on this organization, always spending time with the young core of pitchers that were coming up through the system. You would always see him at the AAA ballpark up the road in Gwinnett. He had a restaurant, matter of fact, for a couple of years where you would see him hanging out and just, always making time for the fans, signing autographs, things like that. So, again, I think one of a kind is a good way to put it. He's a guy that meant a lot to this organization, to this city, and he'll certainly be missed. So I'll definitely miss the conversations we had or seeing him at a golf outing in the offseason. It was always fun to bump into Nuxie.
Braves insider Kevin McAlpin, Mets insider Anthony DiComo on a Tuesday on Hot Stove. The days between filled with news and opinion. We appreciate you guys being with us. Happy New Year, guys.